Ruth Zimmerman, who's a missionary in Papua New Guinea, who's going to speak to us and tell us about her work.
Um, Thank you for giving me the time to come and talk to you and just giving you an update about the work in New Guinea. So I bring you greetings from the church in Papua New Guinea, as well as the congregation at Fenwick. Um, the congregation that meets at NBC send their greetings. That was taken last year when we had a group from California. So if you see extra white people in there, it's that they're not there normally. That's just a bonus. And also, the teachers and staff at the Melanesian Bible College send their greetings too. They're my coworkers. They're a pretty special group of people. Most of this report will focus on the work at the college because that's my primary role at this point. I do other things too, but most of it will be about the school. I've worked with NBC now for 11 years. Started in 2013. That's the new classroom building that we completed a couple of years ago. And the students were all really enjoying it. So it's been a big blessing. No more termites. It's a real privilege getting to work with the school. We've got students from all over the island at this point, and hoping soon to have students coming from other areas of the Pacific as well. We've just, in July this year, we celebrated our 33rd graduation from the Tok Pisin program. If you don't remember or you're not familiar with New Guinea, there are 860 languages. So Pidgin is really important. It's a Creole language and it's a bridge between languages. The school up until now has run in Pidgin. However, we've just had our first English graduation. So we now have 2 years of Pidgin and 2 years of English running simultaneously. So we meet the needs of the students that come. 2025 actually marks 50 years of independence for the country. It became an independent nation in 1975. It's also 50 years of Christian education in lay. The very first school that was set up ran from 1975 to 79, and that was coordinated by Ray Locke, Rick Nyland, and Joe Cannon. So, and that just happened in the church building on the property. Once the infrastructure was built in the current location, they moved the school, expanded it, and it ran from 1980 to 87 as the School of Life. Most of that time, Art Ford administered it. So it's been a really Canadian thing. I mentioned Rick Nyland a couple of minutes ago. He's Aussie. However, he's married to a Canadian. She's from Welland. Okay. And from 1988 on, it became the Melanesian Bible College, and it still is today. And it's called a college, like Great Lakes was called a college before, but it's pretty basic in a lot of ways. We have a lot of educational problems in New Guinea. Literacy is a huge problem. So we'll be talking about that more later. Right now. One of my roles with the school is teaching literacy, and I teach in Pidgin. I have done some in English with some of the advanced students, but not too much. It's mostly Pidgin. I just want to take a couple minutes to introduce you to a couple of my students. So this is Rakawa, and yes, it's pronounced Rakawa, not Rakawek. Talk place name or language name. This is Rakawa here. Her husband, Muri, is my roommate's cousin. And Rakawa is actually from a different village than Muri is. She's from a very remote village in Morobe. And she was one of 15 children, and not one of them went to school. They're all completely illiterate. When they decided to come to lay, to come to the Bible college, she told her family, And the family had a massive celebration involving killing a pig and big party because it was such a big deal. She came to us in 2022 and spent that year in literacy class. And then in 2023, she was in Bible class full time. And at the end of 2023, we got to visit her in the village. And while we were there, we had a ladies' Bible class. And during the Bible class, she stood up and read. She read a passage. Everybody was crying. It's such a good feeling to enable people to understand what they're reading. Okay, another student is Maureen. She was with me last year. She's also from a remote village in Morobe, but she's married to Jonam. That's her husband here, Jonam. And they're from Madang province. She also didn't learn to read as a child. She was really young when her father died, and she had a slightly different situation. Unlike Rockoa, there was an elementary school in her village. And elementary in New Guinea is kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2. And she would go over as an older child and help the teacher just to take care of the kids. And she's a sponge. I've never taught anybody like her. She is a sponge. She absorbs everything. By the end of the second term, last year, she was reading fluently. And I just sent her to class. And she topped her class all the way through last year and this year and graduated, and they're now back in the village working. So, okay. This is Jenny. Jenny was my student this year. I thought I'd have 4 students. Turns out I just had Jenny, which in a way was a big blessing. Jenny came last year. When Jenny arrived, she was just about 8 months pregnant. And during the first day of class, I asked her, Jenny, when are you due? Thinking like, I've got to organize myself because she's going to be missing classes. When I said, Jenny, when are you due? She went, I don't know. Yeah. She was on her 5th pregnancy. Every other pregnancy, she'd had the baby in the house in the village and didn't see any need to go to the hospital or anything. When we did finally get her to a clinic, in Ley, you have to register with a clinic before they'll allow you to deliver at the hospital. They checked her out and discovered that the baby hadn't turned. It was sleeping across. And when she went into labor, it was still sleeping across. And there was, I don't know if there was trauma from pulling the baby or if it ingested fluid, but when it breathed, it was rattling. It sounded like a coffee perk. And eventually it died. But her year last year was pretty wrecked with everything. So she was back with me this year in class and definitely has a learning disability too. I suspect she's got a form of dyslexia. When we got done at the end of July, she was reading on a very low level, which I thought was amazing considering the amount of struggle she had. She couldn't understand her letters or her numbers, couldn't get that at all. We every day we learned 0 to 9, couldn't get it. And printing was a real huge issue. So, but yeah, she isn't one of my success stories other than she is reading, which felt really good. The support that you guys send help to support these students. We don't charge them. The literacy program, each year we look to our new students and meet their needs first. And if there's space, then we take people from the congregation or community. And we don't charge them anything. They get all of their supplies free. Each one of them receives a Bible too during the year. That comes out of the support that congregations send. So thank you for that. This is Susan. My roommate is Susan's great aunt, and she's not that much older than I am, so I feel kind of old saying that. Susan I was a student at the elementary school on the church property in Lay, and her aunt was teaching her. And when she graduated last year from grade 2, she couldn't read. And it wasn't because she couldn't learn. The average class size in the elementary school is 70 students. Yeah. Can you imagine teaching 70 6-year-olds? Can you imagine? I can't. I taught 15 6-year-olds, and that just about drove me nuts. 70 or more. Some of the classes have up to 80. And so she didn't learn anything. The government of Papua New Guinea actually says that PNG has a 63% literacy rate. I very highly doubt that it's 63%. They're going by the number of people that go through school, but most of them aren't learning to read at an advanced level. We have the lowest reading rate in the entire Pacific. So literacy is a good tool because you're not only teaching Christians, you're also teaching visitors, and you're teaching them about the Bible, and it's a way of reaching out. So it's a big blessing to be able to do that. There's Susan. We had a little graduation ceremony for her, so she was pretty happy. Okay. Another work at the school, we've really taken on a lot of printing. We serve the church throughout the country in several ways with regards to printing. I've talked about this in the past, the songbooks that the school uses, or that the church uses in PNG. The two at the front, the blue and the green, are what we have printed recently. The two at the back, Ray Locke printed those in the early 80s. So yeah, a little piece of history there. It's just pretty much always been available in some form. We took it on, NBC took on the printing in 2014 because the people that were doing it before that had just stopped. So from 2014 on, we have printed 4,250 books. It's the equivalent to 1,275 hours worth of work. And I have no idea how many liters worth of sweat. Yeah, it's really hot and muggy there. And it's not always pleasant doing this job, but it's a big blessing. Unfortunately, NBC is the only source of these books in the country. And along with all of the other work that I'm doing, I can only print between 300 and 400 a year. So we can't keep up with demand. The other thing is, it's really hard to get them to the other side of the island. There's still no road network. So if somebody from Moresby or any of the areas in the south want a book, they literally have to fly to Ley to get it, or have somebody pick it up. It's not economic at all to ship them. So one of the things I've been looking into, not without frustration, we want to get it set up on an app or some kind of electronic method where they would be able to download the songbook onto their smartphones and use it free of charge. Just one-time download, no cost, and it doesn't require internet all the time. That way, we'd be able to get the book throughout the country. So I'd appreciate it if you pray about that. Jeff Taylor currently is trying to organize a group of people to talk about this. If anybody has experience here with app formation, please get in touch with me. I'm having a lot of frustration with this. So different materials that we've printed. This was Gillian Doyle's topical index. It's a reprint. The last time I was here, I was working on the editing for this. So that's the final copy there. I started working on this in September when I got back. It's also a reprint. That's the translation on the right that was done by one of the missionaries before. So getting ready to reprint it, but also bringing it up to match the pigeon from today. Booklets, that was a COVID project. Lots of time on my hands during COVID. There's a printer in the States called Mission Printing out of Texas. They provide booklets and they're free of charge to download. We had several in the library already, so I just filled in the blanks. So with this group of booklets, once we added them, it's now brought the collection in the library to more than 4,000 books, which is a huge blessing. Most of our students come, they've never seen a library before. So to have the resources that we have now, it's a real blessing. We also do printing for Christians. So there's a brother in lay by the name of Jacob Yadasuk, and he does prison ministry and hospital ministry. He's out every day of the week. He's at the prison on Wednesdays. He's at 4 different hospitals the other 4 days of the week. He meets with the patients, prays with them, teaches them, hands out brochures. And he does his own, see these down here? This is what he brings me. Sometimes I can't even read them. So he's also very low education, like maybe grade 2, but he tries his best. So we're able to take this and produce this. And then we do the photocopying for him and then he hands them out. So, okay. And with the addition of English, I've taken on all of the printing for the teachers. So we're really blessed now with the English program running. We're using material that's been provided by Sunset and also South Pacific Bible College in New Zealand. And that's their materials. A lot of that is Sunset, but some of it's from SPBC. We're using it with permission. And a couple of years ago, I put out a request for financial assistance with printing, which the school just doesn't have the budget for. And we've got the money. And that shows how much we spent 2,160 Canadian in the 2 years to run that. On average, 155 per student. And that allowed them to take home, on average, 38 books each and 33 handouts. That's huge. The Christian bookshops in lay are denominationally run, and they're all denominational materials and nothing biblically sound. So to be able to provide this, that's a resource as they work in their villages now, it's just a real blessing. Of the money we collected, we have enough to get through the first couple of terms this coming year, but I'll be sending out a request again for help with that. And our students are just so grateful, as well as the teachers. One of our teachers are standing in the middle there. That's Abraham. The others are students. Okay. Part of the work in the library and with the school is training. So bringing brothers and sisters in to learn skills. He's a preacher working in a remote area of Morobe, and he was learning how to use the comb binder, which isn't fun. Some of our students were learning collation. That we never stopped laughing. That was hilarious. It's the first time ever doing collation. They come from the villages knowing how to plant vegetables and chop firewood and do all kinds of wonderful things, never having done this. They didn't stop laughing the entire time. And then it took me 2 days to figure out all of the mistakes after that. I've started training another librarian. Rachel is one of our teachers, and she has come in part-time to help. She's learning processing, as well as William, who's our newest teacher. He's been learning processing and library work, but he's also been helping with every aspect of songbook production. So that's a big blessing. At least if I were to leave this year, somebody would be able to carry it on, which has been a concern. So some of the materials that we've made available. Everything that the library produces is not for profit. It's all sold at cost. The only thing that we didn't print there, those are Bibles. We buy them from Bible Society and drop the price. It's a subsidized thing. Okay, and this one, a few years ago, Art Ford produced a concordance, an updated concordance, and he had it printed in India, and that's that one. He is currently working on a second edition. He's been working on the Old Testament concordance, and I'm actually proofreading it right now and going cross-eyed doing it. So, but yeah, you can see we actually offer quite a few different materials just to try and help the church and help Christians in general. Just another picture of that. Oh, come on. Okay. Church camps. This has become really important. There have, for the most part, there's always been national camps, but they're getting very exclusive in that anybody traveling from a village has very limited funds, and then they get to Ley and have to buy plane tickets. It's the same people living in the cities that are going every time. So we've been focusing on provincial camps of different kinds. So fundraising for that, bringing by special collection, things like that. That actually took up quite a lot of time in the last couple of years. But the result was, sorry, this thing is, there it is. This was the result. We had the camp about 2.5 hours from Ley. That was the first time we had a ladies' camp, and we had more than 500 people in attendance. 51 congregations represented, 15 baptisms, and 118 repentances. And when we went through and started talking to the ladies that came and asking, most of them had never been able to attend a camp before. So it was a huge thing. There's also a youth camp. Oops, sorry, that was some of the baptisms. What's happening here? Oh. Anyway, the youth camp happens every other year. And this was one that happened at Indogan, which is a remote village. Sorry, I don't think we've got volume. Sorry about that.
Is it supposed to be playing right now?
Yeah, it's that's okay, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we went to the youth camp in Indogan, and I flew in with a group of people. And traditionally, you're welcomed. This is a welcoming ceremony. And this wasn't the church welcoming us. This was the community. And that's the airstrip. It's where the plane lands. And they were escorting us down the airstrip to the church area. And the amazing thing about this is in the early 80s, when the church was planted there, the Lutheran Church persecuted the Christians to the point where they had their teeth knocked out. One of them was attacked with a machete and chopped. Ken Page, many of you will have known Ken Page. He went in with a group of people from Ley and were humiliated in the village and forced to walk out by the Lutheran Church. Now, fast forward 2024 to 23, they're welcoming the church. That's what, when we're Christians and we show love and forgiveness, that's the outcome right there. So it took us about 1.5 hours to get down the airstrip, but we ended up here. This is the church area at Indogan. And we had a few days together. We had a visitor from California. His name is Keith Gant. He was a great hit with the kids, as you can see. that was a picture taken after worship on Sunday morning. We had 21 congregations in attendance and 16 baptisms. So it was a really encouraging time. There we go. Yeah, some of the baptisms. And then the last night we were there, they had what they called a handover takeover. So the hosting congregation would come forward with gifts. And if another congregation was prepared to take the camp, then they would go forward and receive the gifts. NBC, which is my home congregation there, went forward and received it. That camp is being hosted 2 weeks from now. So please hold that in prayer. I'm supposed to be there. The timing with this has gone really bad. Anyway, we went forward and received everything. Itung was holding, that's a bow and arrow there. And then the string bag, Billum, had food in it. Hold on, where'd it go? It's taro, yam. There's a pig. That was a pork leg there. And just different things. But yeah, they're getting ready to host that. And I know how busy they are. Being in lay, they could have 2,000 people attending. So just hold it in prayer. I know they're really stressed right now. And then we sent our group back. I stayed. This is working here. Oh, still no volume. There it comes. The plane arriving. Why is this getting stuck? What are we saying about technical difficulties? Yeah, sorry about that. This is standard air travel in PNG. There's hundreds of small airstrips like this on the sides of mountains. They always land uphill for obvious reasons and take off downhill. So they arrived and are, let's see, the next one. Plane seats about 9 people plus the pilot. So it's a caribou. It's like winding up the rubber band to get. Come on. You never know from one place to the next what's going to work and what doesn't. I've had problems with the video up until now. Sometimes the kids line up right along here and they'll pick up pieces, whatever they can find, leaves, flowers, rubbish, whatever. And the draft from the plane, they'll just fold it up and there'll be this shower of everything because of the draft. Okay, the airstrip ends and the plane actually rolls right off the end of the airstrip there. It's airborne now. The end of the airstrip is just like cliff. So this village, this is Indoggin here, and the village is over here. This is another village. This is called Konge. It also has an airstrip. And I've been in planes that have taken off from Indoggin and circled around and landed at Konge, which is perpendicular. And it takes 4 minutes to get from one to the other. So 2 hours to walk it, but 4 minutes by plane. Change of direction. The last time I was home, I was asking for help with a project in affording a projector. That's the end result there. Was able to raise the money for a projector for the library. So the students have been enjoying that. We've also had more visitors. COVID did a number. We didn't have anybody from 2019 until last year. So we've had groups start coming back. Thank you for your prayers throughout this time. Some of you may have heard of the disastrous boat trip we took last year, but yeah, that was the group, the people from Highland that came to visit us. Just thank you for your prayers, your ongoing prayers for the work there, and also for my safety and everybody else. So I want to ask you to pray not only for the church, but also PNG as a whole. There's some pretty challenging things happening right now. One of them is this. Get it? Blackout. Blackouts. PNG Power is the only power supplier in the country. And just before I left, they announced that they're insolvent. They are 1.4 million Canadian, sorry, 1.4 billion Canadian dollars in debt. The only power supplier. So it hasn't been a good year. We've had unending blackouts. I clean out the fridge at least once a month after it's been out for 30 plus hours. It's very frustrating. There's also a number of other challenges. As of 2023, the country was in debt by more than 80 billion Canadian. The population, the last census we had, I should say the last successful census we had was in 2011. They did one a couple of years ago. However, there was a riot in Port Moresby and they burned the building down that the results were being stored in. So no results for the census. They estimate between 11 and 17 million people in the country. So employment right now is 3%. That's not unemployment, that's employment, 3%. It's highly dependent on subsistence living and stealing. So lots of crime issues right now. Political instability. The government now is facing its 9th vote of no confidence in the last 2 years. So corruption is huge. The cost of living is going out through the roof, which it is here too, but it's just out of proportion completely. And minimum wage, it was supposed to go up. If it has gone up, it's about $1.66 per hour. Sorry, excuse me, my voice is $1.66 per hour. And it's nowhere near enough. I've got a young girl staying with me who worked a fortnight, 40 hours plus per week, and was paid $100 kina, which is about $50 or less. And it's just beyond, it's heartbreaking. We think that the price of meat and things here is expensive, but it's that much higher there. Oh, thank you. Thanks. My voice is just going now. Okay. So yeah, I don't want to dwell on all of the negative stuff, but there's a lot of challenges there now. So please hold the country in prayer. There we go. It's just slow. Hold the church in prayer too. We have very few people over 60. It's so opposite to here. I mean, when I go to Fenwick on Sunday, I'm one of the youngest people there, which is kind of scary. In New Guinea, I'm one of the older people. Think about that. We have a growing church in Papua New Guinea with a lot of young people, but it's growing, and a lot of times it's growing in quantity and not quality. There's no true conversion happening. If they're coming in for whatever reason, but there's no change happening. Okay. Please also pray for the school. We're going through a lot of changes there. With English, it's been a real blessing. However, we're facing a time where we're going to start losing our teachers. In the next 3 years, we're going to have a number of retirements. So starting with Joe Dobadoba, and then Michael and Mrs. Dogo, his wife, Michael and Dogo Tatara, and then Miamo Golabi. They're all Pidgin teachers. Those 3 teach in the Pidgin program. So we're facing a time where we're not going to have any of the original teachers there. Some of our English students, English graduates from this year may be coming back. So please hold that in prayer. It's a time of change. This is something that Tintern asked me to put in. They are considering bringing a team over in a couple of years' time, and as you may know, like they've gone to Japan, I don't know how many times now, at least twice, maybe more than that. And when they were getting ready to go to Japan in October, I met up with Don Rose and just jokingly said, huh, Japan again, you never come to New Guinea. And they've taken that on board. So we may have a team coming in the next couple of years. When I met with Noel Walker about a month ago, he asked me to let you know for a couple of reasons. First, pray about it. If this is God's will, then that'll work out, but just keep it in prayer. This team is not a Tintern team. This is open to anybody with interest to go. So something to consider. Maybe somebody from Fennel would like to visit. If you're interested, if you want to know more, get in touch with Noel or Dawn at Tintern. I'll be doing a presentation at Tintern on the 28th of December, and they're planning to have a meeting then about this. So just to let you know. The last Canadian team was 22 years ago. 22 years ago. Some of those faces you may recognize. Emmanuel Velasco, okay, Joel and Amanda Locke, Andrea Clint, don't know Andrea's last name now, Shanna McVeigh, Jordan Wall, and Greg Whitfield. That's a good time picture. Yeah, that was the last team we had from Canada, apart from Art and Ruby going and Velma Foreman going. The last team we've had. So it's overdue. Yeah. Anyway, this is the last slide. Oops, that.